Ladies and gents, boys and girls, happy Thursday, December the 8th, 2022. Hope you're all doing well. Chris Phillips here, the Daily Crow of the Spurs Up Show. Appreciate you all tuning in. We have got a lot to get into. Slow news day, eh? Slow news day or so the last 15 hours or so. Again, really excited to take your questions, your comments, your calls. 843-790-3377. I see. Oh, Tylenol, you can't hear me. Okay. Can everybody else hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me. You should be able to. It looks like the volume's coming through fine on my end. Tylenol, maybe make sure you're not muted. I see Madison, Cody Gaskins, see Youngblood, Tomato Mouth. Okay. Justin Langford, John Edwards says, everybody relax. I dig music. Stephen Borwell Jr., Gad, Lexi, Connor Lee, Austin Ward, Chuck. Appreciate you all tuning in. Also those in the Big Cock Club Discord over the TDC Questions channel. The TDC Questions channel, be sure your questions are answered. Okay, looks like volume is good. Guys, of course, as always, TDC brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Go down the Prize Picks app, go to prizepicks.com when you do use the promo code TSUS to receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Again, that's our friends with Prize Picks. You can play anything and everything. College sports, pro sports, anything and everything in between, guys. They have got it for you. And so many fans and listeners of the Spurs Up Show have made tons of money with our friends at Prize Picks, and you should as well. Again, that's our friends at Prize Picks, promo code TSUS, whether on their site or on the app. Really appreciate our friends over at Prize Picks for the love and support of the Spurs Up Show. Be sure to check them out and tell them that Chris sent you. Guys, again, phone lines are wide open. Obviously, the big news that has come up within the last, I would say, 15 hours or so is the potential new OC. And it sounds like it's a little bit more than smoke. It sounds like it may be happening. Also, guys, we got JC Sherbert jumping on the show at 1:15. So I'm really excited to get his thoughts on everything. Dowell Loggins. Who? Yeah, Dowell Loggins from Arkansas. He was an offensive coordinator, I believe, in the NFL. I've got to look up. It's a guy, though, you have to Google who he is. Obviously, the message boards are melting. Gamecock social media is melting. And I don't know, many folks have viewed this sort of as a therapy Thursday, so which is crazy, and it's hard to believe after the way we finished the season, but here we are. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts because I'm still kind of processing. You know, it's so funny. Last night, the Big Cock Club Discord was in full meltdown mode, and folks were wondering where I was. You know, I thought it was a good night. I could step away from Twitter, step away from the phone, step away from social media, and just kind of relax and chill and go to dinner and just have a low-key night. And, boy, I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. It never stops. It never sleeps. And sure enough, I checked my phone at like midnight and all hell had broken loose. So we are here to process through it all. Again, JC Sherbert coming on at 1:15. Already went on Inside the Gamecocks today at 11:30. Really appreciate him having me on and excited to get his thoughts on everything. Of course, he's got his ear to the ground with his contacts. I've been talking to my people. It is definitely sounding like, though, you know, this could be, or this is going to be a real thing. You know, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a lot of smoke right now. Let's jump to the phone line. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know if y'all could hear that or not. Here we go.
Brian Bennett.
What's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing? Is your mind spinning too about the hire we're gonna get?
Yeah, my head's spinning right now for sure. I'm doing well. Otherwise, I'm doing great. Just kind of trying to process everything, man. I'm trying to, you know, it's weird because it's not officially official. So I hate to overreact to something that may not even actually happen. But with that being said, there's certainly enough out there to believe that it's only a matter of time, a matter of when, not if. So, yeah, man, I'm trying to process through it like everybody else.
I just want to try to bring some reason to it. You know, just even if we do hire this guy per se, you know, everybody's saying he's looking at his stats and stuff like that. You know, and I know stats can be misleading and stuff like that sometimes, but if you look at the organization that he called for, those was horrible organizations. Heck, the Jets, they're just not winning this year a little bit. But those Chicago never had offense. You know what I'm saying? So I will give him that leeway. Okay, maybe bad organization, but also Steve Spurrier, great play call. You know, Nick Saban sit to go. Both of them had NFL runs and just could not get the job done. Maybe this guy's got a good scheme. It just wasn't good for the NFL because some guys just want to see in the NFL level could be a good college guy. So maybe look at it from that perspective. We do get this guy to come on, and I think Shane Beamer's made it clear he wants a pro style offense, and maybe Stat had a good scheme, but just was a horrible play caller. I'm just trying to find any reason to try to get the Gamecock Nation to calm down. Say, hey, look, it could be plenty of scenarios why this guy just succeed in the NFL, but I'm just going to bar none that he called plays for bad organizations that didn't draft him.
Well, if you want to give a reason, a real hard concrete reason, if you want to give a reason for Gamecock Nation to calm down, mine would be this. Shane Beamer's your head football coach, and Shane Beamer is the one that has orchestrated back-to-back bowl game appearances, won a bowl game in his first season, second season, beat top 10 teams in back-to-back games, beat Clem Sucks in his second season, and is taking the Gamecocks to the Gator Bowl with an 8-4 record. He is the one that has orchestrated that. So do you trust him or do you not? That's if you want a concrete reason to be calm. Now, with all that being said, though, one of the things I love about doing my show and one of the things I love most about my audience, because my audience is very smart, just like yourself. My audience is very smart. We look at things with a critical eye. We don't just take things at face value. We look at them with a critical eye. So looking at this with a critical eye, if this is indeed the guy, if this Dowell Loggins character is indeed the guy, it's extremely underwhelming. I'm not going to run away from that. It is. It is. I mean, I understand that, you want to do this pro style thing. And if you simplify it down, Shane Beamer made it very clear that they didn't necessarily reinvent the wheel when it came to their offense the final two games, but they did simplify. I read something where they went from like 19 personnel packages down to 5 personnel packages, and they tinkered with some things and altered some things, and that's why you saw the great results. But, I said that when Sat walked and went to Nebraska that I felt like it was important to get a guy that was going to instill confidence in the fan base. Yeah. Someone that we looked at and said, man, I'd be kind of surprised if it didn't work out. Like, I am so confident moving forward on the offensive side of the football. This guy, does he give you that level of confidence? Do you have warm and fuzzy feelings when you look at the resume of a Dowell Loggins? I am not sitting here saying 110% that if he is the guy, it's not going to work, because we don't know. I'm not a guilty till proven innocent guy. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity, but I don't blame people for being underwhelmed. I don't blame people for scratching their head and thinking, what the hell is this? Right? I don't blame people for that. It almost feels like Sat all over again, and I know that gives people a sick feeling in their stomach.
Yeah, but like you always say, and that's the beauty of being a fan, because we all had this expectation. All of a sudden, we get a monkey. Oh, where did it come from? Oh man, that's messed up. If it hadn't been like a Kendall Browse, oh yeah, we got the guy and stuff like that. It's a different narrative, But that's the beauty of being a fan of football. You know what I'm saying? Like we get to critique stuff like this, and talk about stuff like this. But but I just think I trust Shane. I'm not no reaction, stuff like that. And if this is what Shane wants to do as far as like the offense that he's making, he's pretty much telling us, look, I'm gonna find guys who're gonna run the pro style offense. This is what I want. This is what I'm gonna do, whether you like it or not. This is what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? And if it succeeds, hey, like you said, we all cheering and going crazy. If we don't succeed, we're gonna be on the phone with you talking junk like, what's going on, Shane? Hey, you gotta fix it.
Indeed. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know this is something that'll be discussed quite a lot in the coming weeks or so, but
But find some joy, man. Find some joy, man.
I love it. I appreciate it, my friend.
All right, man.
Yeah, man. Take care. He said, find some joy, he says. Find some joy, he says. Oh, my God. I love it. Yeah, Phil, find some joy, Phil. Find some joy. Oh, my goodness. 843-790-3377. Again, guys, I'm expecting a lot of your questions, comments, calls today. We got JC Sherbert at 1:15, so he'll take up most of the second hour. So if you want to get your thoughts in here, I highly suggest you do so now. Here we go. Let's jump to the phone lines.
Call from
Phil Harris.
If it isn't Find Some Joy, Phil himself. What's up, Phil? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well, my man. What's up?
So I got back from the Free Jacks event last night in Boston, and I looked at Twitter, and I nearly melted with just the anger and the hatred and the heat coming from my phone, man. It was pretty wild. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of like Groundhog's Day right now, because 2 years ago, you and I had a conversation on the Daily Crow where I was extremely upset at the hiring of Stat, asking who the hell this guy was, and he came from bumfuck fucking Tennessee State. And I was just like, I feel like I was lied to with the hire of Beamer being a CEO type and having proven strong coordinators around him. Now, Clayton White has turned out fantastic as far as I'm concerned. Pete Limbo also, same realm. Both of those guys deserve raises for what they've done with this program. And I think you could make the argument that special teams won or helped. It was integral in winning a couple of games for South Carolina this year. The offense, you really can't say that. With Stat, it was 3 games that were glowing, and 2 of them people were saying that he might not have been calling the plays. That's the theories or whatever. So, he was ultimately seemed like a bum. And I called him a bum at the very beginning, called, who is this guy? Like, what resume does he have? Well, this guy has a resume. It's not in college, but it's in the pros, and it's garbage. And that's French for garbage. So it is absolutely disheartening, underwhelming. If this is truly the guy, like, Shane, what are you doing, man? I know Shane is not a regular dad. He's a cool dad, and we all love that. But this guy can't hire offensive coordinators. Like, if this is truly the guy that he's gone after, I don't know who's whispering in his ear, if it's him, but I just don't see it, man. Like, obviously, as a Gamecock fan, I hope this dude falls out and calls all the right plays and we look amazing on offense next year. If he gets hired and he stinks it up, there's nobody to blame but Shane Beamer, man. That's just the bottom line. And his track record would not be great with offensive coordinators. By the way, that bum Will Muschamp, he didn't have a good track record with offensive coordinators, and he got ran out of town. So, it is what it is. We love Beamer for all of his great qualities, but this one doesn't. It looks like a flaw, and hopefully we're proven wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's just my perspective on it.
Yeah. Very fair take, Phil. Very fair take. Listen, I mean, you called it 2 years ago, so very fair. Very fair.
All right, pal.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you. Everybody, you're entitled to your rage, but let's hold out hope here.
For sure. Phil, I appreciate you, man. Great stuff. Great call from Phil. Listen, I will say this. That's a very fair take. You may not like it, but it's fair. It is. It's fair. It's fair. We obviously all hope for the same thing. We all hope that this guy is the second coming of Steve Spurrier. But I guess what sucks, and Phil's point, I know what Phil's point is because I share the same sentiment. Why should we have to hope? This second time around where this role, this opening was supposed to be sexy, why should I have to hope the guy turns out to be good? Why couldn't we just go get a guy that I know is going to be good? Let's jump to the phone lines.
call from
Dave Garrett.
Dave, you hung up, Dave. Call back in, Dave. My bad. I caught you a little bit late. Maybe I was going on a rant. Anyways, though, I think that's what's frustrating. It's just like, okay, you were a rookie head coach with 0 games experience. When you first got hired, you hired who you could, I guess. Fine. You hired who you could. That shouldn't have been the time. That shouldn't have been the case this time around. I keep getting the guy's name wrong, by the way. Who names their who Dowell? What kind of name is that? I don't know. Here we go.
call from
What's wrong?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. How you doing, man?
I'm
Hey,
doing well.
I'll be awesome, man. I'll be quick, man. So last caller, totally agree with the fairness on both sides of it. I think just really putting too much value in the pro side of his career and saying that it's not going to translate to college, where everything is a little bit slower and a little bit easier. If you really take a look at everything that his offense entails with the personnel that we have, honestly, I feel like from a schematic standpoint, it's a more simpler upgrade for what we have. I think you're going to get more production out of your backs. It's simplified in motions. Everything just looks a little bit easier to understand. I think the groupings I think Brad was the one that he mentioned something about the groupings. And then when you really look at the film of what he did on offense, his groupings are simplified. I don't think you really see more than 8 or 9 different groups that he ever puts on the field at the same time. So I think that's obviously a big play. But for me, the biggest thing is I wasn't really even aware that we didn't have a top 20 recruiter in our assistants. And then this guy right here is in the top 20. So I think we need to take a step back. I was critical when I first heard about it, but the more I dug into it, honestly, there's something spinning in Shane's head if this is really what's happening. And I think he's looking at it from all the different angles. He is an experienced play caller. It's at the end of the day, at the NFL level, it's hard. You know, either you work out or you don't.
Right.
He had a couple opportunities. He took them. It didn't work out. He's in college now. And I think if it happens, I think we owe the guy the opportunity because, like the last caller said, we hired a couple of guys last year on the first staff that I would assume most of the programs in the country weren't looking at. And there was a couple of head scratchers. And all we do is turn around and get the back-to-back bowl games. I think there's something to be said that until the wheels completely fall off, you do have to trust Shane Beamer. Yeah. I mean, because he has made some exceptional hires in situations where we didn't agree with those hires. Yeah. So if this is where it's going, like I'm gonna hold before I completely melt down entirely. Right. But I can understand why people are upset. I think if you really, really look at the guy and watch the film, I think there's something to say that the offense actually this year might have been more productive in areas that it was lesser productive in this style of offense. I think this is just a short tid on Bell. I saw a couple people saying that this is probably the reason why he left. I tell you right now, it definitely isn't, because this guy's tight end usage is off the charts. Not to mention he's a tight end guy to begin with. So I think that whoever you're bringing in, I think this is a big deal for a guy like a Harbor potentially, who has the opportunity to play both sides of the ball. He's going to play offense. I would assume it's probably going to be more tight end than it's going to be X. This is a potential recruiter / coach that really would benefit a commitment like that. So I think there's a bigger, a broad span of thinking that's in Shane Beamer's head right now, more so than just go find the flashiest hot hires, where the average fan who's just sitting on social media, wanting this guy, wanting that guy, and that's what we do as fans. At the end of the day, like, these guys are 10 times, if not 100 times more smarter than we are about what they're doing. And for all we know, this guy was the top of the board the whole damn time. I don't understand how that's possible, but Shane Beamer, you got to give him credit that he hasn't messed up so far. For what it's worth, I don't even think the Satterfield hire was necessarily a bad hire. I think schematically there was a lot of things that you looked at and said, man, the right situation, his style of play could be good. I've heard you say it. I think the Nebraska move for him is a good move. I think in the Big Ten, when it comes to defenses, I think he's going to have an opportunity to have much more success there. So it's just a matter of finding the right home for the right guy. So I think at this point, just trust in Shane Beamer. I mean, he hasn't let us down at this point. If anything, he's exceeded expectations back-to-back years. He deserves the trust and patience at this point. If we go 4-8 next year, then like the last caller said, we can point all the fingers at him. You made the hire. Offense didn't do nothing if we're going 4-8. So,
right.
but I just wait. I think we're losing our minds a little too damn much. I mean, we're playing what I think is one of the top 3 bowl games in the whole country in about 20 days. Now, that doesn't happen if the guy's not making the right hires. So.
Yeah, I think well said, my friend.
Man,
yeah, I think well said. That was very well put. So I think well said for sure.
Absolutely, boss. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. I appreciate you.
Take it easy, boss.
Yeah, man. You too. Hey, great stuff. Listen, that was a great call. That was a great call, and yeah, I appreciate it, man. That was awesome. That was awesome. Let's see. Where did that comment go? We had a bunch of comments rolling in. Anyways. All right, let's jump back to the phone lines.
Call from
Dave Garrett.
Dave, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing fine. Hope you are too.
Mm-hmm.
I was underwhelmed at the hire, or what appears to be the hire. But then I saw where Connor Shaw gave him a vote of confidence. And if Connor will give him a vote of confidence, then I will too. The only other thing I could think that would be worse was if we go to the bowl game and since Sat's gone, then it's running up the middle and bubble screens again. Hope you have a good weekend, man. Talk to you soon.
Dave, the man. Appreciate it. Great stuff from Dave Garrick as always. Yeah, listen, I'm loving the calls. I love the calls right now. I want to continue to hear from you guys. Because there's like everything else. And like you mentioned, Connor Shaw gave him the vote of confidence, which Connor's the GOAT. Connor's my GOAT. I'm a Connor Shaw guy. When I think of the greatest Gamecock of all time, I think of Connor Shaw. The greatest winner in the history of USC. Connor Shaw, I'm a Shaw dude, man. Connor Shaw rocks with me. He rocks with TSUS. And I mean, I rocked with him before that, but that makes me rock with him even more, to be honest with you. I love Connor Shaw, and so I respect everything Connor Shaw has to say. So you get a vote from the GOAT. Hey, that means something. But like everything else, there's multiple ways to look at this. There is the Garnet Glasses view of just blindly trust Carolina, blindly trust the Gamecocks, blindly trust everything that has a block C on it. There's the doom and gloom view, which is completely just melting down, you know what I mean, at the news of even a slight inconvenience. And then there's the middle ground, which is where I'm trying to stay. So more on that in a second. Let's jump back to the phone lines.
call from
Chris.
Chris, what's up, man? How are you?
What's up, Steve Philly? Doing all right, man?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
Man, it's been a hell of a week on damn game Twitter, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. You'd think that the regular season's over for football and things would slow down a little bit, and boy, that is just not the case. It's never the case. It's never the case.
Man,
So.
I mean, my mind's all over the place with Jaheim Bell pulling the stunt he did. I mean, you like to wish him well, but there's just some weird feelings about the way he went about things, with how literally in 24 hours he was blasting Clinton, Tennessee. Then he was selling bowl merch, which was kind of mid, honestly. And then, hey, I'm going to the portal. I mean, what the hell? And then you got the whole OC fiasco. I mean, I just don't get it, man. I know we're at that point where it's almost just, like I said, goose season, man. I don't know what to expect. I trust Shane Beamer, though. I hope he's going to make the right move. Maybe we can. I mean, we got 2 guys at Arkansas that we can get, so hopefully we get the right one. We'll see what we can do, man. But I'll let you go, let you respond, and thanks, man. Go Cox, fuck Clemson.
Well said. I appreciate it, man. Nah, thank you. It's been a crazy week, guys. It's been a crazy, crazy week. Speaking of merch, by the way, I know I said I was going to do it a couple days ago. Gotten busy this week. Cox vs. Catholics merch, I promise you, will be on the store by tomorrow. It doesn't take that long to make. I've just been running around like crazy. Cox versus Catholics. And that'll be merchandise as long as you order it by, we'll say, I think we'll say like the 18th, you can have it in time for the bowl game. So Cox versus Catholics, we got to have it. We'll have it in garnet black and white. You guys stay tuned for it. Anyways, let's turn to the phone lines.
Call from
Zach.
Zach, what's up, man? How are you?
Good. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing pretty well. Appreciate you asking. What's going on?
Not much. I'll be quick. I just want to talk about this Loggins, whatever his name is. Got on Twitter last night, and I see that, we're zeroing in on this guy. I'm like, I have no idea who the hell this guy is. I Google him, and I see his track record in the NFL. Extremely underwhelming. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I looked at our big list of OC candidates like Garrett Riley, Longo, Bryles. I honestly didn't think we would get Riley. I kind of thought Longo was a long shot too. Didn't see him leaving UNC though. Didn't realize the relationship he had with Pickle. But regardless, I thought Bryles might be an option. But when I saw that his quarterback was coming back, kind of figured he'd probably stick it out at Arkansas, given all the injuries they had and stuff this year. But man, just like really, really underwhelming. And it just kind of sucks because Beamer telling everybody, got a lot of interest, a lot of people calling, a lot of people like, wow, that'd be a home run if we get that guy. And then turns out this no-name dude. I just don't know if everyone just kind of told us no again, or Beamer was just kind of full of shit. But regardless, I'm a Beamer man. I believe in him. Tough pill to swallow though.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if we do hire this guy, it does work out. But man, that's just tough.
Yeah.
And being on Twitter last night was something else. That was that was pretty wild.
It was a mess. It was a mess.
For sure. But yeah, man, love the content, love the show. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate you taking the call.
Hey, thank you for the kind words, man. I appreciate the call. Great stuff. No, listen, I think very well said. I think very well said. And again, underwhelming is the key word. And I don't blame anybody. You can trust Shane Beamer and also say that this would be an extremely underwhelming hire. Both can be true. I trust Shane Beamer fully. Beamer ball to the moon. But the fact that I got to Google who you tell me Dowell Loggins or Dowell Goggins or Gowell Goggins or Ghouls and Goblins has been the OC, I raise an eyebrow. I raise an eyebrow when I hear that. Dowell Goggins or Dowell. I keep calling him Dowell Goggins. It's Dowell Loggins. Dude literally sounds like a character from Lord of the Rings. Who is this freaking guy? Dowell. What kind of name is Dowell? I'm not trying to rain down on the guy. Who is named Dowell? Where do you come up with the name Dowell? Dowell. Anyway, I'm going off on it. David Goggins. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Do a push-up. I feel like that's what's about to happen. Let's jump back to the phone lines before I don't know.
Call from
CJ, what's up?
What's going on, my man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Can't complain. Just going through this whole Twitter thing and seeing the outrage, but also trying to see some of the positives that could come out of this so-called but isn't hired yet offensive coordinator. So, but my thoughts on the guy is Shane Beamer isn't going to hire anybody as he's done before in the past. Can't speak upon Marcus Satterfield, but everybody was skeptical of Pete Limbo. Again, everybody had to look who Pete Limbo was. Never heard of the guy, but look at what he turned the special teams, but not only the program around just by his presence into the program. But the thing that I have in the back of my mind is being any type of fan is there's always a positive that comes out of this. And my thoughts on that is that Shane Beamer, to me, isn't going to make a hire that he's not real sure of, that isn't going to take him a step back, per se. So with that being said, this offensive coordinator with Justin Stepp obviously had a great relationship, but there was some kind of trend that obviously he likes to listen to not only his coaches, but his players also, and take their insight to it. I know one of my buddies, his parents, they're huge Arkansas fans. And, you know, they were reading about this guy. They were saying this guy is a player guy, not a coach's guy, but a player's guy. So he's in it for his players. And if we know Shane Beamer is a player and a university guy. So my thought on it is we can't really say, hey, look, this will be a downgrade, because looking at what Marcus Satterfield did for 2 years of his own prospect of what he thought was a good offense, I don't see this guy being any worse, considering the fact that Arkansas was above Carolina every single year, statistical wise, in the offensive stats of it, being a downgrade. Like if that's what today is, it's all about statistics and numbers. But if we're looking real deep into this guy, is it really a downgrade? Just because we don't know his name, or just because he hasn't been one of the nation's top coaches to come out of a program, doesn't mean that it's a downgrade. You know, obviously there's a lot of knowledge coming from it, but I think that if he does come into it, and not the Browns guy, if he does come into it, he's going to come in with the same mindset that Browns had. Not saying that he had that opportunity to, but this isn't the NFL. You look at Nick Saban, you look at Steve Spurrier, their time in the NFL, they were trash. But they came back to college and they did very well. Same thing with this guy. He came back from the Jets organization and did really well for Arkansas for the last 2 years, or the last 3 years he's been there. So we don't need to just think of this as a negative. We just need to look at this guy as, let's give him a chance, because we've given a lot of people chances. And yes, we'll get on to him. You know, yeah, we'll give him to fire the coach after, a couple games expire. But that doesn't mean that Shane Beamer's job is on the line just because of this hire. But I do think that with Coach listening to Justin Stepp, and not only Justin Stepp, but Freddie Kitchens as well, that this might be the hire that will turn faces and that will turn this program around. Yeah, there's negative, but I'm trying to think of the positive, considering the fact that we're coming off of a positive season with horrible offensive stats until the last 2 games. But that's my take on it, and, look forward to seeing your show again, man.
CJ, you're the man. I appreciate the call, my guy.
That's right. Go Cox, baby.
Yes, sir. Go Cox. Appreciate it. One of the things, and CJ's awesome, man. I love his calls. He said, my boy said, is this a downgrade? My boy, the bar is in hell. the bar is in hell. Of course it's not a downgrade. The only way to go is up. Is it a downgrade? Bro, the bar is in hell. We as a Gamecock fan, we just sometimes it's okay to expect more than the bare minimum. Just PSA. That's a piece of advice for your fandom, for your relationships, for your business, for your life. It's okay to expect more than the bare minimum, folks. Let's go back to the phone lines.
Call from
Howard.
What's going on, my friend? How are you?
What's up, my guy? Caught between a rock and a hard place, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
I just to kind of piggyback on what CJ said. I agree with most of the points he made. The only thing that I guess you're trying to say, I'm trying to figure it out myself. Beamer said whenever we beat Clemson that, the program's turning around. We've never done this before. We're going to break that stereotypical mold. Anybody who's been a Gamecock fan for their life, they know what the mold is. Beat teams we shouldn't, lose the teams we shouldn't lose to, choke, step on our dicks. That's pretty much been the scenario for Gamecocks forever. Well, thing that kills me is if we're going to take a gamble, which is what Beamer's doing. We're gambling on this, allegedly gambling on leggings. I'd much rather say, if we're going to bet the house on the house. The last two games, I think it's pretty clear to Gamecock fans and Gamecock Nation that Marcus Satterfield did not call the plays for those games. He might have been a talking head. He might have sent the plays in. Somebody told him to do it. Now, whoever that was, whether it be Beamer, whether it be Step, or whether it be Kitchens, I'd much rather give them guys the OC role, because either way, I don't want to say we're retreading in a negative light, but either way, we're repeating. With Muschamp, we hired in-house. With Muschamp, we hired people whose track record kind of proved they shouldn't have had the job. So with either way, we're making the same, I guess you'd say, steps, but I'd much rather take the steps on Steph or Kitchens. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I'd rather give it to Justin Stepp, to be honest with you. I would have rather given it to Freddie Kitchens, to be honest with you.
Okay.
No, I'd agree. I'd agree with you. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know a ton about this Dowell Loggins character. You know, on one hand, you have to trust Shane Beamer. On the other, again, like you said, I would have, if we're going to roll the dice to the degree of the degree in which we're rolling it, like you said, I would have rather rolled it with a Step or a Kitchens. I really would have.
I would have. I mean, we're, like you always say, we're not behind closed doors. We don't know what's going in-house. But on the outside looking in, and you being who you are, and I'm confident in saying over 90% of Gamecock Nation, you can't buy us to believe that Satterfield himself sat down the last two games, made the play sheet, and called those plays. Yeah, he had a headset on. Yeah, he sent the plays in. Who told him?
Yeah.
Who's the guy? And I suggested Willie Corn as OC. I like Willie Corn's offense. And whenever I made that suggestion, it was, well, it's not really Willie Corn's OC. It's Jamie Chadwell. So hiring Corn, we're hiring the guy that's behind the guy. Okay, well, if that's the case, we're kind of doing the same thing if we actually do land Leggins, because everybody's saying, well, it's Kendall Brower's offense. It's kind of like Kendall Brower. He's kind of like Garrett Riley. I don't want somebody who's kind of like. I want the guy. And this, I know, is going to probably make me sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I really honestly believe what's happened is we have a Clemson alum on the board. And I think Beamer might have went after Riley. And whenever they sat down and the board voted on it, one Clemson guy, well, we lost by a point. So he shot it down for whatever reason, and now we have to go with the second option. You can't have a fox in the hen house and expect him to eat corn.
The conspiracy theories are out, my friend. I hear you. No, I hear you. I hear you. I'm not saying you're crazy. You can't have you can't have a fox in the hen house and expect to eat corn. I just put that on my tombstone.
I mean, I'm just saying, Chris, come on, you're a business guy. You're business savvy. Yeah. Look at what you brought the Spurs up to from the armchair quarterback. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If somebody comes to you and says, hey, Chris, I mean, come on now.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Sometimes conspiracy theories can be true.
No, I hear you.
So, anyways, I'm a ride with Beamer. I'm a trust him. Hopefully, like I said, if it was up to me, if we're going to bet the house on the house, because whatever worked in the last two games was clicking. And I just think if we're going to be charitable and give under guys a shot, let's not give it to somebody who's somewhat proven themselves with what we have. Just work with our guys. Just work with our talent list that knows our guys in and out, that's been at practice for the past 2 years and know how the guys feel and can, hey, we're going to take a shot on you. Let's see what you got. But anyways, I'll let you get back to the phone lines. Appreciate everything you do, and let's go, Cox.
I love it, man. I appreciate it. That was a fantastic call. Preach, my guy. Preach. If you're going to bet the house on the house. I love it. I love it. I love that school of thinking. I loved that call. I love your perspective. Guys, that being said, all right, let's go ahead and jump into a quick break. On the side, I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. Keep it coming. Obviously, the big news, the Dowell Loggins chatter, if you will. Will he be the Gamecocks' next OC? We shall see. Of course, guys, we got JC Sherbert coming up at 1:15. Very excited to chat with him and just get feedback on everything he's heard from his contacts. Let's jump back to the phone lines here.
Call from
your best friend.
What up, man? Fire away.
Yeah, so I was just wanting to let all the Gamecock fans know that, I mean, y'all won y'all's national championship this year. 8-4. Y'all went 8-4. Y'all won y'all's national championship. Anything above an 8-4 is y'all's Super Bowl. Have a good day.
Hell of a call. Anyways, let's keep it moving. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Let's see. We'll get back to John says this is Ozzy. Well, I wonder if Ozzy lives in Texas. That's where that call is coming from, Texas. So he might. That might be Ozzy. I don't know. It's weird. Ozzy is like the most popular, least popular troll out there. Like, it's like everybody knows who he is, but nobody follows him. He's got like 100 followers on Twitter. You know what I mean? It's weird. Like, you think, like, I feel like he's a well-known troll, but nobody rocks with him. I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of an interesting thing. Anyways, guys, I want to go to a comment that Coleman Hall had. He said, Beamer's hiring seems to be a big pay it forward type. Big pay it forward type scheme almost. Smaller names that seem to be a stretch. And I brought this up, Coleman, on Inside the Gamecocks with JC Sherbert. And of course, JC going to join us at 1:15. But it just almost feels like, does maybe Beamer like to give guys opportunities who have never been coaches before? Kind of like give guys like himself opportunities. I don't know. Let's jump back to the phone lines.
Call from
Hunter.
Hunter, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. What about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you asking. What's going on?
Yeah, so my bad about yesterday. I was just bored and all, but
You're good.
and so about everything on Twitter, so is it actually confirmed that they're hiring him? Because I just got on here, so I'm not exactly
Yeah,
sure
so
what you said and
it's not it's not officially official, but all signs are pointing that there's a good chance he's the next guy. So sources are telling 24/7 Sports and others that there's a lot of smoke from Arkansas folks, from Gamecock folks. So it's not officially official. It could not come to fruition, but it's seeming more and more likely as the minutes pass. We'll put it that way.
I mean, is it true that what other people say about him? Like, I don't know nothing about him. So,
I mean, what people say about him is, I mean, just they're going off his resume. A lot of people, I don't know much about him, to be honest with you, man. I just know he's been in the NFL, but yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know much about him.
Bears.
So,
all right, well, that's all I needed. I appreciate it, man.
Hunter, I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for the call.
No problem.
Yeah, take care. Great stuff. I got a freaking frog in my throat today. Great stuff from Hunter. 843-790-3377. What a day. Appreciate Hunter calling. Yeah, it does kind of feel like, though, that he's Beamer wants to give opportunities to rookie guys. Let's jump back to the phone lines.
Call from
Lewis.
Lewis, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing
hey, man,
fantastic.
Just wanted to comment, Wanted to keep the conversation going
right.
About the OC search. I don't spend a ton of time on Twitter, but definitely I lost some hours yesterday getting caught up in the threads. Obviously it sounds like things are pointing this way, but this reminds me a lot about Greg Schiano going to Tennessee. I wonder if this social media is going to impact Beamer at all. Not saying that we shouldn't trust in him, but I wonder if he wants to pull through and and listen to some of the feedback that's coming through, I think that some of the conversations we're hearing today has got me a little bit more warmed up to the idea. But I'm just curious if he's listening to some of the feedback. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that. I mean, I highly doubt, I'll say, that Shane Beamer makes decisions for his football team and his football program based off of tweets and what social media is saying. Although, to your point, with the Tennessee thing and the Greg Schiano thing, there's power in social media. I mean, there just is. When you have the masses, screaming, shouting, loudly, if you will. So, I tend to think Beamer is going to make whatever decisions he's going to make, and I don't really believe that Twitter is going to have much of a say on it. And I'll say this. I'll say this because everybody's saying that, I'm going to trust Beamer. And I do too, but we don't have a choice, right? You have to trust him. He's your head coach. Because what's the other option? You don't trust him and you're anti-Beamer. And nobody wants to be that, right? Nobody wants to be that, nor does Beamer deserve that. I mean, especially with the way you finished up the season. So, yeah, man, it's just, I tend to think Beamer is just going to make decisions based off of, what he feels is the best fit. And, if he'd have listened to social media, I don't know if he even hired Satterfield the first go around. So, I doubt social media will have much.
Yeah, I saw a video this morning. I think it was Sam Pittman when he introduced Dowell to his team. And, man, he sounds a lot like a Beamer guy. Sounds like he's a high culture guy. You didn't seem to come with an ego. I mean, I'm willing to give him a chance. Kind of moving on to the next topic, I was going to tell you, it sounds like Steps down in Florida recruiting, and Beamer was on a helicopter up to Charlotte. Just wishful thinking here, but I hope Steps going after McCall from Florida State, and maybe Beamer's taking a look at Fenchel Cypress. That'd be a pretty good pickup on both sides. What are your thoughts?
Hey, the portal rages on, my guy, and the portal taketh and the portal giveth. So hopefully we're getting our fair share. I think we are, no doubt. So. No, I know Steps down in Florida because he tweeted something about being down there. So, I mean, we'll see, man. I think the madness is just beginning. Let me just say that.
That's right. Well, hey, listen, man, thank you for the time. Have a good day. Appreciate you keeping us updated.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the call.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bye. Great stuff. Great call. I mean, yeah, it's, hey, listen, Beamer and company, Beamer's a grinder, man. Beamer works his tail off. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Let's jump back to the phone lines.
Call from
Will from Guardian Myrtle.
Will, what's up, man? How are you?
Pretty good, bro. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you asking what's going on.
So just calling to give my 2 cents on the OC. This is my thing, and I'm on board with Shane Beamer 100%. I'm absolutely ecstatic with what he's done in 2 years. I think he's definitely overachieved. So there's some trust there that I'm going to trust him. But with that said, I think we all kind of rolled our eyes when we saw who he was getting at OC, possibly with the style of offense, the pro style offense again. I think all of us kind of wanted to try to see if we could maybe do something a little bit more spread and quick pace. Secondly, when you look at the dude's resume, I know it doesn't mean a lot, but all we can go off of is what we know. He didn't succeed at any level in the NFL as an OC. He was bad with the Bears. He was bad with the Jets. He was bad with the Dolphins. So it's like, and Beamer was preaching about getting somebody that was a proven commodity that had done it before. But it's like, what did he see? When what you're looking at is there wasn't a whole lot there success-wise. So it's like, I don't understand. With all the momentum we had, we could have got a big splash name. And we got a guy that we all had to go Google to see who he was. And I'm not saying it's not going to work out, and I hope it does, and I hope that I'm wrong. But do you know what I'm saying, though?
Oh, no. Hey, listen. A commenter, guy on YouTube leaves a comment. I love this. He says, anytime you have to go with the, quote, I'll give him a chance. And if you got to start the combo with that, yeah, man. I mean, it's. I mean, you think about any other walk of life, any other job. If you were applying for a job and you were, somebody looked at your resume, like everywhere you had been. Let's say you were in sales, and everywhere you had been, you fell short of gold. I mean, how confident are you going to be in hiring this person? Like it's, right. You can, again, like I said earlier, you can trust in Beamer and also acknowledge that it's an extremely sus hire. It's extremely suspect. Like, I trust Beamer. Beamer has shit out more football than I will ever know. I'm not a football coach. I'm not an OC. But, again, I don't have to be a chef to tell you if the food tastes like shit or not. And I'm not saying the food tastes like shit because I ain't had it yet, but, boy, it sure smells a little funky. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and it just feels like, man, the iron is so hot right now. You know, in South Carolina, there hasn't been a whole lot of good times football-wise, and it just feels like, man, it's such a great time right now that we could capitalize and take it to the next level with a big offensive hire. And it's like, then we go get a guy that's a tight ends coach at Arkansas for 2 years. Like, is that the recipe for success? I mean, maybe it is, but damn, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know. And then it's tough too to hear that, you know, it's this time around, this job is so sexy now. It's so much better than it was, and it's like, bro, I don't know, man. Dowell Loggins, Marcus Satterfield. It's like the Spider-Man gif where they're like pointing at each other, and it's like it's like the same person. It's the same person.
Yeah, and JC did say that they were going to do a 2019 LSU Tigers offense / Baylor, and that would be great. I have no problem with that if that's the case. But it doesn't look like it right now. But I mean, I'm backing them 100%, as most people. But I guess I just wanted to wake up one day and check my phone and it be some big name splash that we're all happy with, you know, and it's not. So it's just a little frustrating. You know,
yeah.
But
no, I get it. I'm right there with you.
Anyway, I'll jump off. I just wanted to call and give my 2 cents. Not that it matters. So.
No, I appreciate it. Value your opinion, my guy. Thank you so much.
Later,
great stuff. Will from Dirty Myrtle. My guy, Cocky Lids, old Travis Ward tried to call in. Travis, you want to hit the phone line? It's wide open for you. 843-790-3377. Yeah, I mean, Coach Ford chimes in. I know Coach Ford, we've been wondering what Coach Ford was going to say. Puts it beautifully. He says, we did not need an OC that required a sales pitch. I think that's putting it beautifully. Coach Ford, I think that's putting it beautifully. And, hey, I say this. I say this. Here we go. Let's jump to the phone lines first.
Call from
Travis Ward.
Travis, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. CPL, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
Listening to you and JC and Phil earlier today, and you said that you went downtown Greenville last time. I'm just wondering, what's your spot down there, man?
Well, so I said downtown. I actually went and had dinner at Stella's, which isn't technically downtown, but I don't really know the area all that well. Yeah. But Stella's, phenomenal spot, man. That dinner hit. That dinner really hit. But no, downtown, I mean, it's crazy, bro. There are so many restaurants in downtown Greenville. I feel like you could probably eat down there for like a year and you still wouldn't have hit them all. But I tell you, the place I've been the most is Taco Sushi. I rock with Taco Sushi hard. That food is delicious. So,
man, I wish I could do sushi, man. That's just one of those things. I don't think I'm afraid to
not a sushi guy.
I love fish, but I'm not a sushi guy. No,
dude.
I love like fish, but I don't know.
I hear you.
Maybe I just didn't have someone put me on the right sushi.
We'll get you right.
Yeah. All right. So I put out a tweet last night. I don't know if you saw it. I don't tweet a ton. Just the hypothesis I had. So all right, say Loggins is our guy, right? Clearly those last 2 games, it wasn't just Sat calling those plays. It was somebody else on staff that was helping one way or another, whether it be Steph, Kitchens, whatever. What if, just hypothetically, say he brings this Loggins cat in, but he's also got Justin Stepp, who can kind of roll into maybe like a passing game coordinator type position, and then you have Loggins who actually has experience at the OC position, and just knows like the ins and outs more. And I think did they work together at Arkansas for a year? Do you know?
I don't know. I can't say for certain. I cannot say for certain. However, I can tell you that apparently this is one that Stepp is signing off on, this hire, if it does come to fruition, from what my Arkansas guys tell me. So
yeah. That's just, like I said, it's just a shot in the dark. Maybe that's what, because
maybe Beamer's going off of what they did the last 2 weeks. Like clearly they had an OC. Clearly there was somebody else that was assisting Satterfield somehow. And maybe that may be why he's not going to say who's calling the plays for the bowl game. Maybe that's the guy that's going to call the plays for the bowl game. Maybe the guy he brings in as co-OC or as a passing game coordinator. Just a thought.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. I guess, and I know you fall in this category where it's like, I guess what's frustrating about it is like we have to, you know, we'd love to be in a position where you just hire an OC and you're like, damn, that's a good hire. You don't have to justify why that hire was made. I see it. It's like we hate to be in a position where it's like you have to convince yourself. It's a good, like you have to talk yourself into it. You have to talk yourself into it. Like I just, God, that's exhausting.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Brad Crawford tweet it last night, I mean, my heart tanked for a minute, obviously. But then I try to look at things positively, man. I mean, I do, especially as positive as Gamecock football has been these last few weeks. I've got to put my faith in Beamer. I do. I question it a little bit if this is the guy, but at the same time, I'm just going to put my faith in him until he proves me wrong. I mean, the Satterfield hire made no sense, but I mean, I feel like some people forget that Satterfield wasn't going to be his guy. It was going to be Bobo. And when Bobo bolted, I don't know if it was like Beamer just got left with his pants down and he just scrambled and he's like, hey, I got Satterfield on my speed dial. I know he'll take the job. Maybe that's why he reached out to Sat. So, I mean, obviously that's just hypothetical, but maybe that's what it is. He didn't have the time to hire an OC, and I can see why people are still frustrated. But I mean, I feel like the dude's earned the right to at least give it a shot.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. I mean, again, you got to trust in Beamer, and again, I think he's earned the benefit. I mean, I even said after the final game that, you know, if he wanted to bring back Sat, it's like I would have questioned it, but Beamer has earned the benefit of the doubt at this point, and he has. And again, I fall in the category of Beamer's earned the benefit of the doubt. I'm not throwing in the Beamer ball towel. I'm not. But at the same time, I will say this is an extremely underwhelming hire. I hope this underwhelming hire works out.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel. I mean, it is underwhelming. It is. I didn't expect again for somebody to say this is your OC and me go, well, who was that? I never even heard of the guy. You know what I mean? Like,
I hadn't either. I hadn't either. I mean, I was fully. I had all my chips in on Kendall Briles. I mean, I think a lot of us did. It is underwhelming. I mean, it is a little bit disappointing just from a namesake. But at the same time, I mean, I know this guy's offensive coordinator record in the NFL was god awful. But I mean, maybe you have to kind of look behind the curtain too and just see maybe this is not cut out to be an OC in the NFL. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs with this guy, which is a little concerning, but.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's I mean, it's I guess what's tough is it's like going on a date with somebody and you're on your sixth relationship and the first 5 were all terrible, but it's like, baby, I promise I'm a good guy. I promise, just give me a shot. It's like, I mean, I guess, but damn, I'm a little scared. Can you blame me? Like,
I feel like I know it's
like
much of it is just screwed so many people just wherewithal and just way of just reasoning. Like there's no reasoning right now, and it's just from the mustache. The mustache effect is still real.
Well, and I said this, I said this, Travis, and I'll stand by it because I said it after Florida. It still applies even after the finish of the season. Looking down the road 3-4 years from now, Shane Beamer's tenure will be judged. Obviously, winning and losing that's the ultimate, but Shane Beamer's tenure will ultimately, in my opinion, be judged on. Could he get the offense going? That's literally it. Because if it's year 5, even if you're not winning to the level, like if you're still kind of around the 7 to 8 win range, if you're being productive offensively, there will be hope and optimism that, you know, we're still going the right direction. But I just don't see this being a fan base and a program that's going to be sitting around year 5, 6, and the offense is still anemic. Even if you're going 7-5, even if you're somehow getting 8-4, if the offense is trash. It's just you're not going to be able to make a long career in Columbia doing that. So that's what his career. And I mean, he knows that. So like that's where I come back to like I trust Beamer because I know Beamer's not an idiot. I know he's not an idiot. But you know, it's a roll of the dice. Yet again, it's a roll of the dice. That's for sure. what this OC hire would be.
Yeah, it is. I feel like it's been so long since we've had a competent offense there. I think people are just they think the only way to get it is just get a huge name. And I mean, it's not always the case. I'm hoping we got lightning in a bottle with this guy. Only time will tell. And even if he's hired, I mean, hell, he hasn't been hired yet.
That's a good point.
I think he will be. I'm gonna let you go, man. I know you got JC getting ready to come in. I'm gonna see you down in Jacksonville, though. We're gonna stop by. You gonna be close to the stadium, or where you parked?
Yeah, so we'll be lot J is where the tailgate will be. I mean, it's literally right next to the stadium. So I'll be down there at the latest Thursday because I'll be planning on going to the pep rally and all that. So yeah, man, we'll be around. Let's definitely link up. But lot J, I'll text you off the record, obviously. But yeah,
okay,
lot J is
good,
literally right next to the stadium. So yeah, we'll link up for sure.
All right, brother. We'll see you down there, man.
All right, man. You're the man. Appreciate you.
All right, man.
Yep. Take care. Great stuff. Great to hear from my guy, Travis Ward, a.k.a. Cocky Lids. Y'all be sure to follow Cocky Lids, by the way. That dude does phenomenal. Oh, let's jump to the phone.
Call
That
from
was loud.
I dig music.
There we go. I dig music. What's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. The point that I wanted to make is, when you look at the Georgias and the Alabamas, and they run these pro-style schemes, when they go, like Alabama a couple years ago, they went and hired the tight ends coach from the Giants or something. Their fans don't get underwhelmed. They don't say, well, who's that guy? Because they have talent. Beamer's going to recruit the talent to come in there for this offense. It doesn't matter. So it's like, and then you think about teams like Appalachian State, when they upset Michigan, they had an offense that was designed to negate the talent that they didn't have. They ran a spread offense to negate the talent that they did not have. Beamer does not have to do that right away, right now. He does not have to do that. Muschamp did that. Muschamp brought in these RPO offenses, these hurry-up offenses. That's not always a recipe for success. You have to have talent on your team regardless. Like, he's going to bring in a scheme for the long haul. He wants to bring in a Georgia-style scheme. He wants to bring in a real scheme, not a scheme that's going to, every 2 years, we got the latest, popular offensive coordinator who's running this new scheme, and now you got to bring him in, and then the next guy, and forget all that. Bring the talent that you need and win with a sustainable scheme. People think of pro style, they think of a 1980s offense with a fullback. That's not what it is. A pro style offense is a scheme that can adapt to multiple different defenses that they're getting on a week-to-week basis. One week they could spread it out and pass the ball. The next week they could grind it and they could run the ball. They could do multiple different things. They could come out in multiple personnel packages. They could get the ball to multiple people. You look at Georgia, they have 3 good tight ends. That's why they're successful running these teams. Like, that's all I've got to say, man.
Hey, well said, my guy. Well said. I appreciate it. Great stuff from I Dig Music, guys. We're going to jump into one quick break, but on the other side, we've got JC Sherbert of the Big Spur Inside the Gamecocks. He'll help us break everything down. We'll talk to JC and more on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls. We are waiting for JC Sherbert to join the line here on this Thursday, December the 8th. Very happy to say that JC will continue to join us each and every single Thursday. So looking forward to it. We're going to be talking, of course, South Carolina football, because it's funny, right? People ask me a lot, like, what do you do when it's not football season? And I'm like, obviously I talk basketball and baseball as well, but like football never ends. Football truly never ends, guys. I mean, you could break up football content to where it's spread throughout the entire year. It never stops. It never stops. In the SEC, there's no off season. There's no time off. So, again, we will wait for JC Sherbert. And let's see. I'm gonna make sure his volume's good. All right, cool. We're gonna go and get him on. Very, very busy last 24 hours or so. Busy week also. Like I told you guys, there is no off season when it comes to Gamecocks football. Who better to help us break it all down? JC Sherbert of the Big Spur inside the Gamecocks. JC, first thing, man, I'm so excited to have you on. Not just in the season, but I'm glad we're continuing doing this because, like I mentioned, man, it never stops. Truly, it never stops. People ask me all the time, do you ever run out of things to talk about? I'm like, for the diehard, there's always something to talk about, especially when you're looking for a new offensive coordinator. JC Sherbert inside the Gamecocks. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Great, Chris, and certainly happy to continue this with you, especially, it used to be that it was a busy time of year coaching change-wise. Right now, recruiting was going to heat up, but more so in January. Now it's all right here at once. You got bowls, coaching changes, portal, NIL. You have everything. And then signing day is in 13 days. So the signing period starts then. So it's been a very busy time. Obviously, a lot of talk about the new offensive coordinator. A lot of news out there about Arkansas. Am I back, or was I gone, or was that just?
I don't know what just happened.
Was that just you? I tried to carry it. You disappeared. I just kept talking.
I don't know what just happened.
That's happened to me. It's like when you're like on the piano and the lead singer's mic goes out, you got to vamp a little bit, right?
Yeah, I figured you would carry the team.
Yeah, there we go.
We're back.
But a lot of talk about Dowell Loggins as the OC. I can tell you last night I reported, and Chris, I just had to, I quit calling myself a journalist a while back because I don't think it fits what I do, and I don't like most
don't put yourself in a box.
Most of the journalists out there anyway, but I have a background in it, so I had to kind of just be a reporter last night. I didn't even want to comment on this, but I put it about 97%. I thought it was trucking toward imminent. Just now, I kind of got some information. It's not as high up the food chain as people think, but I think we sort of, because of that sports flights, which is sports flights is a fun account to follow, but they're not trying to break scoop. They probably had no idea South Carolina had an offensive coordinator search. They just tweet out, like, when the 76ers are going to the Lakers, they tweet the plane's flight plan. It's kind of a cool account, and they just so happened to tweet the Gamecocks plane that had the tail number blocked on FlightAware, by the way. You can't track it on FlightAware. I don't know how they track it. Rolling out of Northwest Arkansas yesterday afternoon. And so that set off a firestorm because, everybody thought Kendall Browse. And, Dowell Loggins has been a guy that Dowell Loggins has been a guy that has been on the list too. And, so we kind of put two and two together. And it's like we were told, no, I don't think it's going to be Kendall Browse. And so that left one guy, unless they're out there looking at guys from the portal, and maybe they were. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of reasons for the plane to be out there, but so then you start asking people and running his name by people and all that, and then you start kind of figuring out that based on your responses that this thing looks like it's going to happen. And so it isn't as high up the food chain as people may think. There's no contract or anything right now. It just looks like within the next week, this is the most likely scenario. So that's the latest I have on that. I kind of, like I said, when I got off the show, I got a little more piece of information about the flagpole, the symbolic flagpole, right? So it's not that far up the chain yet, but I think that, like I said, I still believe right now it to be imminent. As close to imminent as imminent gets. How about that?
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask you, JC, was just in regards to like a percentage or just an overall feeling. How likely do you think it is? Because like I hate to, as I mentioned to you this morning, I hate to lose my cool over something that may not even happen. But it's definitely sounding like there's enough traction to believe that it almost at this point it'd be a surprise maybe if he wasn't the guy. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know that I would be completely like floored. Just, I mean, sometimes things get out and people see the reaction, and because you should never let your fans pick your coaches, right? That should never happen, but nor should it, right? But then there's a difference between like, not letting fans get to you and not letting the opinions of the masses, and then something that's kind of like a hire that negatively impacts the psyche of the entire organization through no fault of the person you're going to hire. It's just based on the resume. And so that's another consideration. I don't, I had it at 97% last night. I'd probably say 92 right now, just based on what I heard earlier about it not reaching the highest levels. But, I didn't look. I hope, if it changes, hey, you're talking to somebody who'll kind of breathe a sigh of relief, because, the one thing about the search that I said, I didn't really have a favorite or anybody like that. I have guys I like and don't. But was that long, established track record of running offenses at the college level that produce. And you look at you look up Dowell Loggins, and there's no college track record except 2 years at Arkansas. And he was offensive coordinator for 4 different NFL teams. None of them averaged over 20 points, I don't think. Was kind of an Adam Gase guy. And I'm not a big Adam Gase guy at all. So you don't know how much that was him. That was Gase. They were bad football teams, Chris. I mean, you need players, right? Those were bad NFL football teams but he did last 10 years up there. But it just doesn't fit kind of what I personally, and I think most of the fan base had in mind when Marcus Satterfield left. And I think some people were just concerned. Maybe, I don't know if scared's the right word, but, it's been so positive. And a lot of times around here, we wait for the other shoe to drop. Everybody under the sun knew the issues the first 10 games this past year, then they fixed it. And you saw what happened. So nobody wants to revert to that. Okay. And I think when you use those 3 letters, NFL, and then you look at the results at that level weren't good, it scares people because they don't want to look at bad offense anymore. And bad offense cost them some opportunities this year. And if Rattler and Wells and Lloyd come back, Chris, they have a chance to have a really special season. And I think people are just concerned about that because they're passionate and love their team, and they want everything just right, and they want that reassurance. So, but yeah, I still think it's going to happen right now. But like I said, I've never said lock. It looks imminent, and those are from, I didn't just kind of call up my agent buddy and what are you hearing in the agent world? It's kind of universal. I'll just give you 3 sources at Carolina and 4 at Arkansas, so that's 7. So I think, based on that feedback, many of whom are my best contacts, on both ends. So that's kind of why I said what I said, and the percentage I have, what I have.
JC, switching gears a little bit, how much fun is it for you when stuff like this is going on? And because we see all the madness on Twitter, but the message boards obviously are just a frenzy when stuff like this is happening. I mean, it's got to be chaos, but fun also for you on the message board side of things. And I think it's funny too. It's like you guys are on the message boards and it's like these screenshots leak or whatever, but I know you were having a good time last night.
Yeah. And I tried to stay kind of, last night I tried to let people vent. Sometimes, people go way over the top, but I try to let people vent. And last night I just kind of got into this Zen moment because it was late, man. And I was like, well, I'm just going to let these guys, I'm just going to talk to them, and I'm going to agree with a lot of what they say. And that was actually a good conversation. I don't know if it calmed anybody down because I woke up this morning. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, it gets melted down pretty quick. And I think it's just because, hey, a lot's happened to this fan base. If everybody thinks about it the last 10 years with You see your two best rivals become national powers and host the Crystal football at the end of the year. That messes with your psyche because you had been beating them pretty regularly. That messes with your psyche when you're 3-9 or 2-8 or 4-8, and everybody else is going to the playoff. And you finally get some hope and joy and results. Results bring hope and joy too. And things happened this year that hadn't happened. Haven't happened in a while, and you don't want to lose it. And I think it's a product too, Chris, of some of the, some people think people on message boards just don't know. They're kind of the opposite. They're diehards. They consume every piece of information like they're watching a game, first down, second down, and they rise and fall emotionally based on it because they just love it so much. And so I think that when you care that much about something, it does manifest itself sometimes into a meltdown, but it's really just people caring a whole lot.
Yeah, JC, I've always said with everything with Gamecocks athletics and really being a sports fan, but specifically with the Gamecocks, there are three different ways to look at things. There's the garnet glasses way, everything is sunshine and rainbows. There's the doom and gloom way, everything is the sky is falling. And then there's the middle, and I try to stay in the middle. I know you try to stay in the middle, and a lot of our audience, I'd say most of our audience, very critical thinkers that see things for what they are, not as they want them to be. So when I look at this, let's just say it is Dowell. I've been messing up it. Yeah, Loggins.
It's like,
I've been saying Goggins. I don't know why.
I called him Walton Goggins the other day, and it's he's the actor from Vice Principals, But it's Dowell Loggins, like Kenny Loggins.
Yeah,
so
Dowell Loggins. I was just gonna say though that I think we're all to the point where, because of the way the season finished and what Shane Beamer has done in such a short time, we all trust Shane Beamer. Like, it's Beamer ball to the moon. He's the head football coach. He's getting paid to make the decisions. While saying that, I think it's also fair. Like, I'm not going to come down on anyone or say anyone's unreasonable for JC just feeling underwhelmed, especially when you're selling this. I've been getting all these calls. This position's so much sexier than it was 2 years ago. Like, and then you get a guy that it's like, when you have to convince yourself it's a good hire, and then you look at his track record and resume, like you mentioned, like you said, it's not a guarantor of what's going to happen in the future, but it's something that makes you a little bit uneasy. And I think that's a fair feeling from this fan base right now.
Yeah, and think about this. I mean, you go through, and I won't even go back to the Spurrier era, because going back to then, one thing the head ball coach did was it frustrated a lot of people. He would kind of shuffle play calling game to game, which was weird because sometimes he'd lose confidence. He'd be like, oh shoot, Bubba, you call it. And then, like, all of a sudden, or GA would call it, and you could always tell the difference between when one of those two guys, but I'm not even going to go back there. I'll start with Will Muschamp. Will Muschamp has a disastrous year at Florida, or run at Florida, based largely on a terrible offense. All right. Most people didn't even realize Kurt Roper was only there his last year, only 1 year. But he hires the OC from Florida. So that's immediately a red flag, right? Well, so then that experiment ends. And Eli Drinkwitz was probably coming as the OC, but Brian McClendon, they win the Outback Bowl. Everybody, let's promote. Well, there's another experiment, right? That did not end well. Mike Bobo comes in. And unfortunately, a global pandemic hits. He doesn't have any receivers. I thought he did the best he could. Well, then he leaves, and there was kind of hard feelings about all that because he started Colin Hill. People didn't like that. I mean, he was probably the best of the bunch and would have been the most consistent, but there were other things that doomed him. So that's not an experiment, but it wasn't a successful hire. Didn't turn out well. So then Satterfield, right? Another experiment. Guy's assistant offensive line coach with the Panthers. He comes back, and you hear Lincoln Riley meets Joe Brady, and then everybody from the Rams, the Cowboys. I don't even know what I was in that playbook. And we saw what happened when finally, they said, all right, strip it down, run it like a college. You saw what happened. And so then everybody's kind of like, all right, no more experiments. This is it's time to just go get a guy, and then there's a lot of good players that could come back. So time to take it to the next level. And Another experiment, another guy that that you got to kind of project, and it's like man, when you hired Steve Spurrier, you knew kind of what he's done. When you hired Lou Holtz, you could look at Skip Holtz's offense at Connecticut and wherever else, and kind of realize what they've done. These days, you just all these guys they've hired, you kind of have to guess, and I think people are tired of guessing. So that's kind of my take on it.
For some reason, I just had this pop in my head. It's like maybe Beamer's like those people that that when they get in relationships, they're always the people that they're trying to fix the other person. You know what I mean? That's kind of they just for whatever reason they run from whole well individuals. They want to fix the guy. They want to fix it's almost like let's take this broke. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad analogy.
No, I think if it turns out bad. I don't know. A lot of it depends on how it turns out. I said today, I said, watch this. It's like Gamecock Nation. You sort of feel like Carolina lost 50-0 on the field yesterday, and half the starters are out with injuries for the year, and all that. But that's kind of the mood today. And the guy hadn't even been hired yet, and all that. And I said, watch next year. We'll be sitting here with Dowell Loggins T-shirts on. But that we got from Chris sitting there waiting to do a road trip to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl and playoff, and it's like Loggins mania, right? Because that's the issue. I just don't know. I know enough from the people I've talked to that don't get scared off by the words pro style offense. There's a lot of Alabama. Their offense looks like a lot of fun, right? They run a pro style offense. I mean, but what I was told was. This guy, the problems, the fundamental problems with Satterfield and the burdensome, slow moving, personnel package driven, type of offense, that's not what the intent is here. But at the same time, I don't think I'd encourage anybody to go back and look at the, 17 Bears and get excited about that. It's just, it's one of those things where it's not going to be the same thing as Satterfield. It's an unknown because this guy's never called a college game. So it's like, well, how do you you can't figure it out. You just have to, again, wish and hope and pray. And because of what's happened previously, Chris, it's a really difficult sell for the fan base. I think it's one they'll get through. But right now, I totally understand why people are just, kind of not so high on it.
Wish and hope and pray, JC. Oh,
hey,
God.
That's the state motto, man.
Why is that always the strategy?
It's South Carolina. It's the state motto. Dum spiro spiro. While I breathe, I hope.
That's it.
A lot of hope, man. A lot of hope. But,
my God. All right. We've talked enough about the OC. Let's because a lot has happened this week, obviously, man. Yeah. The transfer portal opened up Monday, and boy, it has not disappointed thus far. Over 1,000 guys, I think it is, or something like that in the portal. We're seeing all kinds of top-notch quarterbacks and big-time playmakers. And, the Gamecocks have been no exception. It started with Austin Stogner and then Jaheim Bell following his lead. Those are the most notable. We've seen other guys like Cam Hardy, a few others that are slipping my mind right now. Just talk about the way the transfer portal has affected Carolina, and then obviously the decisions from Stogner and then Jaheim Bell being the most notable, just everything you've heard on that end, and just overall thoughts on the portal.
Yeah, with Austin Stogner, I thought he'd try to take a shot at the NFL, turn pro. Okay, so that was my first initial thought when he walked. I kind of felt like Chris because the guy, he kind of peaked during the Missouri game, and then was one of those players that started all of a sudden mysteriously getting their snaps limited for whatever reason, and played a lot down the stretch, but didn't make the impact maybe as Nate Atkins did. And I think Austin needs to get stronger and a little faster before he goes to the NFL, but I thought he'd just go anyway. Then he hit the portal, and apparently he's going to go back home and play at Oklahoma, which is the school he came from. And, wanting to be closer to home, I don't blame him. I think that anytime you get a player that's far, far from your campus, when things don't go swimmingly, you run the risk of them transferring the further they are away. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so that was that. Now, Jaheim Bell, I mean, not only did we check with Jaheim's inner circle, I guess, about 2:00 that day, he was selling T-shirts at 12:30. And then I'm on a group chat, and somebody had tweeted one of those. Somebody, to put it not, somebody got like rickrolled on the group chats. We're all laughing, and then somebody posted Jaheim's goodbye or whatever. Where I'm going to go in the portal thing, and people were laughing. We thought it was a joke. It's like, no, unfortunately, it's true. And so I'm like, good God. And so the exit was there. I think his usage this year laid the groundwork for this. See, this is why you do need to make a good offensive coordinator hire. I mean, that's important because usage matters. And I think that laid the groundwork. And then I think NIL opportunities kind of pushed it over the top. And I want to say that did facilitate a groundswell of support for the collectives. But I'll also tell people this, the facts behind that are it's not like Bell had this, offer or whatever that Carolina could not afford to match or anything like that from an NIL perspective. There was no choice given. I mean, he just left. So, I mean, there does need to be NIL money. Perhaps if he was on some kind of deal here, he would have been more hesitant to leave. But there was no like instant amount of cash that was going to save that situation. So, best of luck to him. And also thanks to all the Gamecocks that have given the Carolina rise and continue to do so. Because like I said, I don't know if that prevents that from happening, but it would have made it a little bit more tricky, I think, for him to just bolt the portal for financial gain and what he considers to be football gain.
Yeah, and I think the thing that sucks the most, JC, is like you mentioned, just the usage and that. We all would have loved to have seen him back in Garnet and Black because you really do feel like that. You mentioned with Rattler, Wells, Lloyd, it sounds like there's a good chance they're all going to be back. Man, Jaheim Bell could have been a lot of fun to watch in that offense, and if used properly, I mean, I think we both agree he's a guy that at minimum could be an all-conference guy, maybe even be an all-American type caliber player. And so is he, is it impossible to replace him? No, but so somebody's going to get a good football player. I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to.
Absolutely. Visiting Florida State, I think, this weekend. So maybe it's not the Gators, maybe it's the Noles. So that would be, I think, for Gamecock fans, you'd rather him go to Florida State than go to a division opponent, right?
Yeah. JC, as the head of one of the top NIL collectives, if you will, for the University of South Carolina, Carolina Rise, I definitely want to give you an opportunity just to chat on it and discuss. And because I still think even at this point, there is not quite as much understanding with NIL. And I don't know if there's anybody really to blame because I just feel like NIL, it's such a new thing, right? Like, because this is more of an NCAA thing, but it's so interesting. Like when this was rolled out, there weren't any guidelines. There was no rhyme or reason. There was no rule book. It's just the wild, wild west.
Man.
When you look at pro sports, like guys are paid according on, production and tenure. And when you're drafted, there's slots and there's certain money that goes with it. And obviously when people heard NIL, it's like, oh, this will be a great opportunity for Joey to go partner with the car dealership and, use his name, image, and likeness. And it's evolved into something completely different. So just give people, I'll give you the floor to expand on NIL, all the collectives, obviously yours specifically, but what people need to be doing, what they need to know. Like, is there any pressing information? Because obviously NIL, it's not just some fun thing. It's directly affecting where guys go to school and where they choose to play their college ball at.
Absolutely. And then it's important. Now, I do agree with your stance that, as far as, because I do see people sometimes, I don't know, shaming other fans because they don't believe in it for not giving and stuff. And look, I appreciate all the people that are militant about joining and trying to get other people to join because that helps the collective. I mean, I don't make any money off of it. All the money I get goes to players. It's just I'm kind of the facilitator. But, I care about, getting deals in the hands of players. So I do want to say that, if your buddy is trying to get you to join a collective and you don't feel like that's in your heart, or if you can't afford it financially, don't do it. Everybody should still love you, man. It's all big family, right? So I agree with your stance on that, because fans support in many, many ways, and you're asking them to do one more thing. So what happens is when you join Carolina Rise, it's like a club. You're in the NIL collective club. We have some drawings and stuff. You get some limited perks, right? Because really it's just about taking that money and providing what I call promotional opportunities for the players. My philosophy on it is maximum dollar amounts for least amount of time spent. We're living in a world, Chris, where an Instagram influencer with however many followers, she can get $100,000 for a post, right? Doesn't take any time, but that's money, and that's kind of what I envision this with Carolina Rise. Is I have dozens of affiliated businesses that we partner with that these guys go and promote or whatever, and it's quick and easy and puts money in their pocket. And I think that's the best way to do it. The other two collectors, they all have different philosophies. The Garnet Trust Foundation, I think, is great because you can write the amount off your taxes. It's a 501c3. They do charitable work with the players. Like they'll go and they pay the players to do charitable work. I didn't want to get into that because that was just something that as far as, I'm picky about my charities a lot, first and foremost. And secondly, I think doing charitable work sometimes is giving your own time and not necessarily making a finder's fee. But that's fine. I'm not judging them. It's just my personal philosophy. And I think all of our personal philosophies feed in to the NIL space. So we find places we're comfortable doing it. And then Garnet Trust, too, is more about they do content, meet and greets, stuff like that, tied into GamecockCentral.com. And they were the first to the market, and they've done a great job with that and their foundation. And then the final one is Park Avenue, and that's the in-house NIL thing. I don't know that you can give to it. I think they solicit like bigger money. They solicited big money funds to get it going operationally. Had to take it out of house because of a NCAA subcommittee, and they're a bunch of hypocrites, by the way. But my understanding is what you do is you just sever the business tie. I mean, you're a businessman, Chris. If you sever business ties and you're separate entities, there's not much they can do as long as it's severed. So they're going to kind of function in the same way, right, as they were. It's just not – they're not going to all work for University of South Carolina. It'll be its own collective. And with the years of experience they have, see what they do. What we all do, I think, is this. This is how kind of I define it. At Carolina Rise, we do a lot of initial deals, like when guys first get to campus, like GG Jackson obviously had some value. So we got him an initial deal. There's been other guys baseball wise. And then we do a series of deals with current players. We did one with Jaheim Bell, right? During the season for football mainly. And we're about to expand that as we've grown. I think that the other guys, Garnet Trust, that's more something that like a large group of players can benefit from in certain ways, various ways with monthly deals. I know they took care of Josh Fan this year, which was outstanding. And then Park Avenue is going to be for guys that are like GG Jackson, Spencer Rattler, Jadeveon Clowney, who can go out and profit with major brands, connecting them with major brands. And they're worth it. They're big market value, and we're talking huge deals for these guys and gals to where they can make it, and that helps your cream of the crop in all sports, and also like your Olympic sports too. If you have a great tennis player out there that's thinking about coming to South Carolina, that's going to be a professional tennis player and already has sponsors lined up and stuff. And he or she can legally get it here, why wouldn't they come? So that's why I personally was excited about Park Avenue. What the fans need to realize is this: the Park Avenue thing is not a turnkey solution. Neither are any of the three collectives by themselves. Everyone is all kind of together and serves different roles. So if you just give a little bit and spread it out, that goes a long way. Or, join the one of your choice, depending on kind of how it aligns with how you feel about NIL, because the opinions vary. So I know that's a long-winded answer. I just gave a speech here and I didn't mean to, but that's kind of the long and short of it. So I'd encourage everybody to give what you can. If you can't, everybody's still your friend, or should be. Nobody needs to shame anybody about this, Chris, because you're right. The fan base has done above and beyond this year and with Carolina athletics for, about a century and 25 years. So, you can't blame anybody for not wanting to get on board, but it is needed. It is needed as far as the players go and the competitive landscape in the SEC and beyond.
JC, very well said. Now, I want to ask you a question. I'm not trying to put you in a corner necessarily, but I'm just curious because we've never really talked about it. NIL, transfer portal, whether you like it or not, this is the new era of college football. But I want to get your take. Do you like where college football is going? Like, are you a fan of this new college football? Do you? Because it's again, you've been covering college football for quite a long time. Your overall feelings, because I think there's some within the game that they're accepting of this new reality, but again, it makes them a little bit queasy. It makes them. It's not quite the college football they fell in love with growing up. Your overall thoughts on just the game itself and as it evolves and these the new realities that have set in.
Yeah, I think that people have different, as far as my feelings, I think people arrive at how they feel about it differently. And a lot just kind of depends on who you pull for, I think, and how their individual schools are handling it. But here's my thing. Did I get up every morning and check the internet and pray that they pass this rule so I could go start a collective? And no, this is not my dream job, folks. But I saw it coming, and I thought, oh, Carolina is not ready for this, and they started the one, and I started another, and that's how it went. So would I rather not have it? Yeah, I think that, especially with how it's been used as a recruiting indictment, and when I saw the Tennessee guys and they had $20 million in the bank and they're flying around in a private jet with orange blazers on, inking quarterbacks, I was like, this is going to get crazy, and this is tough. And I, even if Carolina were thriving with that, I probably would not love it, because I don't understand. That's an inflated value. I mean, I used to do the star ratings. I would never invest that kind of money in something that I said, about a player, because it's an inexact science. Right. And so I don't care for that part of it, right? And I don't care for the narrative that, that this is market value for recruits or whatever. What I do care about and why I do like it is there was an offensive lineman, Chris, that streamed a show on YouTube, a cooking show, right? I think it's at Ohio State, big fan base, right? It's a hell of a cooking show. He'd sit there, he'd make food. The fans loved it. Never taught football, wasn't any kind of like interaction. And he had his Google ads on to monetize it. And the NCAA made him shut it down and said it was an extra benefit. So that part of it, I'm like, well, and some players have camps in their hometown and charge money for it. They couldn't do that before. And so that part of it, I think, is a very positive rule. Unfortunately, the NCAA fought all these ticky-tack things and eventually just got told, you're going to get sued into oblivion if you just don't, if you have any rules or guardrails at all. And so that's why we have what we have now. The portal, I like the one-time free transfer. I think they probably need to – I like the fact they shrunk it. I think what they probably need to do, though, is I don't know how you actually do this, but maybe limit it even further, because I think a lot of kids are making bad decisions. And then I think it's just going to be up to players, parents, and coaches to regulate it, because there's too many guys in the portal right now. Not all of them are even going to play football ever again, Chris. And so everybody that yelled and screamed and said this is best for players and all that, it's probably those same people are going to turn back around and start yelling about how the coaches need to take them back. And at that point, it's unsustainable, because you can't manage a roster that way. So I think there's more tweaks coming, but I think that the geniuses on the subcommittee that shut down Park Avenue also said, well, we should have no limits on transfers ever. You should be able to transfer as much as you want any time. And that would also be a disaster. So, I think it'll be further tweaked, but I like it from the standpoint that it kind of could become an equalizer for a lot of schools. And with a 12-team playoff coming, it gives a lot of schools hope that they can add enough talent to their roster to compete. So those are my takes on that, dude. Heck, I wouldn't mind going back to the BCS, dude. I'm not, I'm old school. So all this stuff is very new for me, and it's probably something I would have rather not had happened. But it is interesting, and I do see a path forward for the sport. That's pretty positive as long as they don't take those unsustainable turns.
Well, JC, I didn't expect for it to be the final topic of conversation, but so much has happened this week. But the Gamecocks are going to the Gator Bowl. I don't know if people may have forgot that, but there is a bowl game in a couple of weeks. I know we'll break it down more in depth as we get closer to it, but just your overall thoughts that South Carolina, for the first time since the late 80s, did land in the Gator Bowl, and you take on such a national brand like a Notre Dame. We've already seen a couple guys opt out from their side, a couple guys opt out from South Carolina's side. Spencer Rattler confirms he's playing, but again, we'll get into the details as we get closer. More so just your thoughts on the game itself. I mean, I think it's a great reward for a great season for Carolina that you, number one, get to go down to beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. You're in a Florida bowl game, and you take on such a national brand like a Notre Dame. I think it's great for Carolina football.
Absolutely. I think anytime you play Notre Dame, it's special. That's just it's college football, man. You go to another country and you mention American college football, 80% of the people are going to talk about Notre Dame and the Gipper and Rudy and the Golden Dome and all that. And I think that South Carolina as a program gets a lot of mileage out of beating some of the bigger brands because Carolina's trying to achieve that, right? And I think that, when you beat Nebraska in the Capital One Bowl a few years ago, that wasn't a great Nebraska team. Bo Pelini was wrong when he said they were better than Carolina. Carolina beat them, beating Michigan and then the hit and all that. They beat Michigan twice in Tampa. That's great. Beating Ohio State twice back in the day was great. Beating Miami to a certain extent in the Independence Bowl was great. Wins over Florida, whatever. The more scalps you can collect, the better. And Notre Dame's a big scalp. So, I think that's the deal. I think as far as the game goes, Drew Pine's out. He was their quarterback, and then they're very stud. I mean, I think Carolina's had some stud tight ends. This dude's on. Michael Mayer is out, so you don't have to worry about getting him matched up on Brad Johnson or somebody like that, and him just killing him. So he's out. So I think Notre Dame. I don't know what they're going to do to try to move the ball. My guess is it'll probably be similar to what Kentucky tried to do in that game with their quarterback out. Well, yeah, Carolina, if they show up and play and all that, I think it'll be like a sellout crowd, 70% Gamecock. And like I said, it's a chance to get a scalp and also give Shane Beamer the most wins in the first 2 years in the history of Gamecock football at a nice 9-win season. So with 3 straight big wins for the program. So that's kind of how I see it right now.
Yeah. And like I said, JC, we'll break it down much more in depth as we get closer to it. JC Sherbert, Inside the Gamecocks, the Big Spur. Thank you so much, JC. And y'all be sure to go check out thebigspur.com to stay up to date because I know, JC, you and your crew, y'all will have everything in regards to the OC search and any breaking news. Y'all be sure to check him out. And, like I said, I'm excited to have you on every Thursday, be on your show every Thursday. I'm glad we're continuing this and chatting with you next week.
All right. Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, JC, you're the man. Appreciate it, man. Awesome stuff, guys. We'll keep it rolling. We only got 6 minutes to go here. Here, I'll go ahead and open up the phone lines. Great stuff from JC Sherbert, though. Really do appreciate his time. Appreciate, like I said, him giving me the opportunity to come on his show and chat as well. I see Joy Found. What's up, Joy Found? What's going on, Joy Found? Played like a champion today. I hear you. Let's see. Ty Adams says, what time do they announce that Al from Al's Toy Barn has been hired as OC? I hear you, my guy. I hear you. Joy Found, I forgot JC's handsome self was on the show today. Yeah. Joy Found, you're handsome, my guy. You're handsome. What a guy Joy Found is. What a guy. Let's see. Anyways, looks like we got a couple messages here. Let me see if they'll take it off. Do not disturb. Let's see. We got a text. Steve Spurrier didn't last in the NFL either. And he also says, man, I just wonder if this is who Beamer really wanted or who he had to settle for because of money. Yeah, I don't know, man. Jay Smith, what's going on? Appreciate tuning in. Guys, TDC rocking tomorrow, of course, is normal. Podcast will drop tomorrow. We'll talk everything on the OC hire. And also, we'll talk a little bit of basketball. Gamecocks men taking on Presbyterian on Sunday night. And then on Sunday afternoon, the women play as well. I forget who they play. Let's jump back to the phone lines.
Call from
Hunter.
Hunter, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. Just figured I'd call before 2 o'clock hit. So what you think about? I heard a few rumors about Will Muschamp. Been interviewed for OC.
You heard a few rumors about Will Muschamp being interviewed for offensive coordinator. Is that correct? Is that what you just said?
That is what I said.
Hunter, I can tell you this. If Will Muschamp gets hired as South Carolina's offensive coordinator, I will officially give the Spurs Up show to you and I will retire.
I mean, hey, it could happen. You never know.
Right.
But,
no, I have not heard that, my guy. I have not heard that. No, I haven't.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I
honest.
didn't know if you heard that or not. I heard a lot of rumors saying it.
No, I would be shocked and stunned if Will Muschamp, the defensive coordinator, defensive-minded coach, was being interviewed for the OC.
Okay. And just to get the weight off y'all's shoulders a little bit, I don't know if it's going to help or not, but I don't know if you know who Gamecocks content is on Instagram, but they just posted it earlier saying it's not a done deal yet with, obviously that guy, I forgot his name, Log Games or something like that. Beamer is still interviewing OC, so.
Yeah, I've heard there's no contract, anything like that finalized. So we'll see. We may just be, it's talking season, it's per sources season. It's you never know. We will see.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we're not going to get the same OC as like Mark Satterfield or something like that, because I'm scared that's going to happen. I don't want to waste another 2 years. Of that crap. So.
Yeah, we are all scared, my guy. No, I appreciate you.
Yep. Well.
Great stuff. Appreciate it. I don't even know where to go from there. Will Muschamp interviewed for OC. Hunter was on Twitter Spaces last night. What's his Twitter? What's his Twitter? Looks like we got a Robbie Davis text. What's up, Chris? It's Robbie Davis. I've been coughing and sneezing every 5 minutes. That's why I didn't call in today. Go Gamecocks, Beamer ball to the moon. Okay, so we got a Robbie Davis update. Robbie Davis is doing well. Robbie, hope you feel better. Yeah, literally, if Will Muschamp got hired as OC, I would just probably sit right off in the sunset. Ty Adams asking the important questions. Who the hell is Goose, though? Put some respect on the Goose's name. There's only 2 sources I trust. 3, actually. Myself, above average Gamecocks, and the Goose. That's it. Let's jump back to the phone lines.
Call from
Hunter.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. The holy trilogy of real news. Yeah. Myself, above average Gamecocks, and the Goose. That's it. If it doesn't come from one of those 3, it ain't real. I heard, by the way, I heard above average Gamecocks got cited on 107.5 The Game for as a source. I could have heard wrong. I think somebody in the Big Cock Club Discord said that. If so, that's incredible. Here, let's jump back to the phone lines.
Call from
Hunter.
What is he get? All right.
Call from
Cameron McClinton.
All right, here we go. Cameron, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Chris? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
I was going to ask you, since we don't have an offensive coordinator, do you think now that Satterfield's gone, do you think that we'll have a problem with running offense against Notre Dame?
I don't think so. No, I mean, there's other offensive coaches on staff. So whether it's Justin Stepp or Kitchens or Beamer himself, I mean, they'll figure out a plan. Somebody's got to call plays, right? So Beamer's made it pretty clear they're not going to tell anybody who it is, but maybe that's an advantage for Carolina that we have that mystery going into the bowl game.
Yeah. I have another question. Do they know where Jaheim's going to go since he put his name in the transfer portal?
Well, JC Sherbert just said that he is visiting Florida State this weekend. So might be FSU.
Ooh, FSU. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Another question, Chris. Do you think if we win the bowl game against Notre Dame, do you think Spencer will come back for another season, or do you think he's going to go pro?
It sounds like Spencer Rattler will be coming back. It's per sources. Okay. We won't know for sure until after, but it does sound like he will be back, which would be huge. Obviously.
Okay. Yeah. And I was hearing something about something about Dan Mullen. They was trying to interview Dan Mullen.
No, he's
rumors about that.
Yeah, he shot that down. That's not happening. So it's
he shot that down.
Yeah, I'd say it's over 90% that this Dowell Loggins character is going to be the next OC. So.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I appreciate the time, Chris. Appreciate for answering my call, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for the call.
You're welcome. Have a good day, dog.
Yeah, man. Take care. You too. Appreciate it, guys. That being said, we have hit 2:00. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Again, thank you to JC Sherbert for taking his time to chat, and electric as always, man. I appreciate y'all. Again, tomorrow's podcast, I will talk a lot more of my thoughts on this Dowell Loggins character and will he be OC? Will he not? Again, it's per sources season, but it does sound like there is a lot of smoke and there's a lot of traction that Dowell Loggins may be the next offensive coordinator at the University of South Carolina. And if it becomes official, we'll react accordingly and we'll keep it moving. It's Beamer ball to the moon, but trust me, guys, you all know how I feel, and I'm right there with you. And we'll see. I mean, that's all we can really say. We'll see. Again, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Appreciate you all, the love, the support on the merchandise side of the business, the Daily Crow, the podcast itself, all throughout our content, and truly grateful for each and every single one of y'all. Again, thank y'all so much. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday, and we will talk to you all